Welcome to CrossYoga. I'm going to guide you through a slow class today. That means time in each posture after warming up to really settle down. And it's going to be about the calling and your vision. And I think it's so important. So I'm excited about unfolding this topic with you. Take a seat and let's begin. If you have taken a seat, I'll invite you to close your eyes and find stillness in your breath. If you feel like sighing out, of course, you can do that a couple of times. And I don't know where you are in your mind space, but what I believe is that you are called. That for some reason you pushed play to join this video, and I believe there's a reason for that. And to really get into that, to receive it, not just in the mind, but in the soul and body, we need to calm things down a little bit. We can't see the bottom of the sea if the sea is full of waves. So we need to calm the waves of the mind, so to say, to see the bottom. And when you start to see the bottom at some point, the first thing you are called into is being a child of God. The apple of his eye. You are seen. You're heard. Utterly loved. And called to change this world that you have been put on. You're welcome to do some seated cat-cows. So chin towards the chest, spine back. You roll onto the edge of your sitting bone there. And then curve and roll the other way around. You can close your eyes and then follow the rhythm of your breath. So you exhale when you lean back. Inhale when you lift your chest. As we move our body, release tension in it. Release things that we might be holding on physically as well as emotionally. We can be more open to this calling, your purpose, whatever it is. When you're ready and have a tall spine next time, you can do some free seated movements. Make sure you get your wrists warmed up with a little bit of circulation, or hallelujah hands, gospel hands I call these. And then you can do tabletop, or if you're into downward facing dog, maybe you want to go there already. Hands pretty wide. Tuck the toes under, lift the hip up and back if you want to go for your downward facing dog. If you're into tabletop, you're on your knees and still maybe moving, however you can do that. Notice that your ears, if you're in down dog, are somewhat in line with the arms. No need to stretch or extend your legs completely at any time in down dog. Now walk your feet to the top of the mat. Bend your knees and shake things out. Just one very small sequence, flow sequence. Standing up mountain pose at the top of your mat. Circle the arms up overhead. Palms meet, and then go for a bend to your right side till you stay put. I'm just going to show you for this variation. Don't go too deep. Stand up again. Get some distance in between your hands, maybe shoulder width distance, and then sit your hip back and down into chair pose. From here, bring your arms back. Circulation, don't move your spine. And then up again, out to the side when you stand up. And now you can almost see the sequence here. Palms meet on top of your head, navel in. Lean to your left side. Maybe you look up. Coming back to center, shoulder width distance in between your hands, chair pose. Move your arms back. So from this chair, as we stand up, you're going to do the circle motion. So do that. Inhale, high mountain, palms meet on top of your head. Exhale to your right side, side bend. Inhale, high mountain, hands apart. Exhale, sit your hip back and down, move your arms back. Inhale, arms out, circle. Standing tall. Exhale, left side. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, chair, move your arms back. One more time to each side. Inhale, stand up tall, palms meet. Right side, exhale. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, chair, toes and knees in the same direction. Inhale. Deep exhale, left side. Inhale, high mountain. And exhale, your arms back. And circle them up. Let your palms meet on top of your head and find prayer pose, standing at your top end of the mat. Close your eyes. Do you believe that you are called, that your life have a purpose? If yes, what is that purpose? And I'm not talking about very specific things. It might be raising up my kids, or being an amazing leader, or cross yoga instructor. Your calling might stir two emotions in you, both some excitement and longing, and maybe some fear. Because, can I do it? Let's release the fear, if you have any, and step into your calling with courage. Open your eyes and lift up the right leg, knee high. Standing tall. And stay here a breath or two. Focus your gaze. Dancer pose. So again, you can stay put, but bring your right arm out to the side, thumb pointing back, and take a hold of the arch of your foot there at the back. And then you might kick the right leg back, left arm moves forward as you move into a variation of dancer. Pluck the shoulder in and release whatever tension you might have in your hip as you move your leg back, not out to the side. And then you can release the right foot, put it to the back of your mat to some degree. Warrior 2, so pivot the back foot so it follows the short end of the mat. Front knee over ankle. And then get your arms out in a traditional Warrior 2. Breathe. Breathe in courage. And maybe sigh out fear. And you're welcome to sigh out through your mouth in this case. Last posture in the sequence. Options. You can take the arm down on the thigh. If you want to go deeper, take the whole hand on the inside of the front foot. This arm can come up. You can also go for the outer edge. If you feel adventurous and you might be familiar with a binding, you're welcome to do a binding. So this top arm reaches behind you, other arm underneath the knee, and see if your fingers can reach. Deep breaths in whatever posture you're in. Then release. Hands on the floor, back heel off, step back, downward facing dog or tabletop if you prefer. Count 3 deep breaths here. Soften your knees, tailbone up and back. Walk to the top of the mat when you're ready. Fold forward. And then move into mountain pose again. Left leg. Lift the knee up. And your hands can be in prayer pose in front. If you want to go for the back and open up your chest a little bit, you're welcome to do so. It costs a little bit on the energy account to move as we do today. Dancer pose. Left leg moves back. As before, left hand thumb back. Reach the arch of the foot. Kick back with the foot, standing here or going for a wider dancer. Our calling is also something that might cost something. might be some convenience we have to let go of. For example, standing here is not that convenient. It might be fun, but in the long haul, maybe right now you don't feel like standing here any longer. Luckily, in this case, we can just let go. Release the left foot, put it back, open up your hip. Wide distance, shorter distance, you figure that out. Sometimes I am talking with God about this. How much is this going to cost? How long am I going to pursue this and that if I feel tired? If I feel alone? If I feel like people don't understand what I'm doing? Am I willing to continue moving in God's calling, even though all of these things are happening? Side angle or hands down on the floor or block. Binding if you're into that. One more breath. Release. Heel off. You might sigh out as you move back. This is a little bit of an intense posture if you do the binding. And you're welcome to come down on your knees in child's pose. Get some distance in between your knees and maybe your palms face up. And maybe this is your time to surrender. Surrender things that you hold on to. You're not willing to let go of, even though you're called maybe to let go of it. It can be fear, it can be something else. Maybe surrender is the right word right now. If you're ready to take a seat on the mat, you can do that. You can get your feet out to the side as much as you feel comfortable. Pop your hip up on a blanket or something if it's not comfortable being here. Toes are pointing up, so you're not letting them drop in, and then of course you can hinge forward. I think what holds us back for most of us can be two things. One, that we want to be comfortable. We want to be safe. So fear is holding us back because maybe God is calling me to do something that is not very popular. Like Christian yoga, for example, not always very popular. So we're afraid of suffering, afraid of entering into inconvenience. I know I can be like that, of course. And the second thing, I think, is disbelief in God. Disbelief that God has really called me to do this, that can't be right. I am not good at, so God cannot. If you have said that to yourself, God cannot be calling me to become a yoga instructor or whatever it is. Let go of that. It's not about your size. It's not about how stretchy you are. It's not about all of that. It's about who God is and not you. So maybe say, it's all about God. Take a seat, feet together. We'll slowly come down on our backs. And when we rest, I'll just read a short story that is very meaningful to me from the Bible. But come back and down, and you can windshield wipe your legs just a little bit. Release tension in your lower back if there is any. And then bring your feet to the sky. Maybe moving your ankles. Can you touch your toes? Maybe not. And maybe that's how you feel like your vision is out there, but it's untouchable. But God can do it even though it can feel untouchable, unreachable. And that's what the story I'm going to read is all about in the way that I'm interpreting it. So come down on the mat and find your resting however much distance you want in between your legs, arms out on the floor with the pinky finger towards the thigh. Back of the head on the floor, shoulders softly down towards the mat. Close your eyes and release any tension you might have in your forehead or in between your eyebrows. And then you can use your imagination. Picture Jesus 2,000 years ago walking around in Judea in this countryside, talking to people, and he became famous, so crowds gathered around him. And this particular day, there was a huge crowd, and Jesus wanted to feed the crowds. So he said to Philip, "Where shall we go and buy bread for all these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 8 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up, "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fishes. But how far will they go among so many people?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and the men sat down, about 5,000 of them. And Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. The story continues that they all had enough and even more than enough. And try to picture yourself being this boy. His mom maybe gave him some lunch with him. And he might have heard the Jesus and disciples discussing this food issue. And somehow he steps forward and tells this disciple that he has some food. Maybe he thought he could give it to Jesus or just one of the disciples to help out. But I do not believe that he, in his wildest imagination, pictured that Jesus would take his lunch packet and make food for thousands of people. He had nothing special, but God made it special. So I invite you right now to picture what you have, almost like this lunch packet. And you go forward and bring this, the small you have, to Jesus. You might see him look into your eyes. With a smile, with love and care. Joyful that you're willing to sacrifice, so to say, your lunch, your gifts, into the service of other people. And maybe you see how Jesus uses your gifts and multiply the little that you're bringing. I will finish our time with a prayer. And maybe you stay with Jesus and whatever is happening with you right now. Jesus, thank you for making much out of little. Help us to let go of fear that is holding us back from what we are called to do. And help us to trust that you can truly multiply. And you are doing it, even though we may not see it always. May your loving calling, your purpose, meet everyone's hearts. People in our cities, our friends and neighbors, co-workers, student buddies. So people can find purpose love and healing. Amen. When you're ready to come out of the resting posture, you can do that very slowly. I will finish for now with gratitude, blessings on your calling,